Hello everyone, welcome to True Warriors Never Die Part 3. Make sure to support the original creator on fanfiction.net, but without any further ado, let's begin. Chapter 3, Das Soltouches. As his senses fully came back to him, a beaten and tattered Naruto lay down on the ground inside of a sizable training area set to look like a mountainous wasteland. His clothes were blood-soaked and cut to near rags, and he was taking deep breaths. His eyes were swollen, but those along with his other numerous wounds were rapidly healing, something that his tormentors took advantage of regularly. 30 minutes to an hour of letting his carcass sit in the sun depending on how beaten up he was, then they pick him back up and kick his ass again. It was good at first. Fantastic fighting, especially the girl he called out at the start, yeah, they kicked each other's asses all over the place. It was good times. He fought her tooth and nail for a few hours and then she switched out with one of the others. He liked her in particular though. She fought him for every step, even slapped the shit out of him with a sandal a few times. It was cool with him, he had nothing but energy to burn and these guys were incredibly strong. Whenever one didn't feel like fighting they would switch out and he would keep fighting, getting a taste of new combat styles, and these guys had it all over the board on that front. No two fought alike. It was great. Bar none, it was the best training he had gotten in his entire life. But eventually everything wears down. And fighting them each back to back, him against a fresh one every time, were not a very good set of odds for him. However, they would not stop, and he wasn't about to be a punk and call timeout. No single person outlasted him, not even an entire group of 8 people during one stretch. He would outlast and deal with at least 2 before having to take a rest. So he kept fighting, taking the short 1 to 10 minute reprieves in between battles as precious lifeblood that kept him going. That was 3 days ago. He still had 7 left. And they were all fresh from repeated rest, and there was the big guy with the pink hair, green suit, mustache, and gentle demeanor there to heal them right up even when he actually did kick their asses too bad for simple rest and time to solve. No one was doing that shit for him, he was relying on good old me, myself, and I. A tall muscular man with silver hair, a purple tank top, green cargo pants, black combat boots, and orange fingerless gloves looked down on Naruto, poking his body with his foot. "You still alive down there, Uzumaki?" Naruto groaned and glared as best he could at the man, enhanced by the Rinnegan. "I swear to Kami and the original Rikudo Sannin himself. I swear on my name as Uzumaki Naruto. I swear on my damned uber sexy whisker marks. I am going to kick all of your asses so hard your backsides will have permanent ballcourt grip." He sat up painfully and slowly stood to his feet before swishing his mouth around and spitting out a mouthful of blood. "You've had your time. Tag out already? I want someone else to kick my ass." He lifted his finger to point out his target. His finger drifted over to where the others were sitting and stopped on one of them. "You dashed a." He pointed at a woman with green short hair who wore a white bodysuit and orange gloves, orange boots, and an orange scarf to go with the goggles atop her head. She perked up brightly when she noticed he was talking to her. "Cutie. You look way too bored over there and that's a crime. Get in here." She smiled brightly and jumped up from where she was sitting. The silver-haired man walked over to the resting area, rubbing his neck as he held out his hand. "Looks like it's your turn, Mashiro. I swear, this guy's made of the toughest stuff in the world." The girl happily extended her own arm and slapped palms with the man, physically tagging him out, so to speak. "Finally can say. I've been waiting forever to fight Fishcake again. God damn it, that joke is thousands of years old. It means Maelstrom, damn it." Naruto roared in a tantrum from where he was waiting to fight. "Now get your ass over here and fight me before I puke again from overexertion. I haven't eaten in 3.5 fucking days and if I stop my stomach will notice." "Coming," Mashiro replied cheerfully as she made her way over to Naruto. "Zanpakuto or no Zanpakuto? You haven't used it yet, why mess with a good thing?" he yelled, gesturing for her to come on. "Now bring it. Let's see if any of you can break the time record of putting me down this time. I haven't been beaten faster than 4 hours total yet for all of you combined. I'll put you down in 20 minutes. She yelled back before disappearing in a burst of speed. "I'm still using swift release and you ain't as fast as Yoruchi," he said before doing the same thing himself. Naruto met her in a clash in the middle of the field, his fist colliding with the flat of her foot. The force of both attacks pushing each other away. "You do have one hell of a kick on you though, but I'm glad to say that for the most part, my ninjutsu still works on you guys. Shinigami, beware my murder face," Naruto shouted as he made hand seals. "Doton, Kusari no Yobi, Earth Release, Call of Chains." Naruto slammed his hands into the ground, forcing 9 thick chains to emerge and shoot out of the ground at Mashiro in an attempt to capture and bind her for Naruto's benefit. Mashiro, however, while not as fast as Yoruichi, was to her credit still far and beyond fast enough to keep away from Naruto's chains, dodging them completely and coming at Naruto head-on while he was focused on keeping them active. The girl was petite and very unassuming at a first glance, but so far she had been keeping pace with Naruto and even outclassing him at times using pure hand-to-hand skill and her speed, not to mention the times when she kicked him felt like he was a baseball that had been drilled for a liner. "Shit," Naruto muttered, dropping the chains and making more hand seals in a blur of fingers and smashing his hands into the ground. Doton, Doryu Taiga, Earth Release, Mud Flow River. Because she had been making a beeline right for Naruto the entire time as he hadn't moved and she was so much faster than his jutsu, Mashiro was literally caught slipping when she slipped on the ground underneath her, which had turned into a stream of mud that was rapidly moving towards Naruto. "This is gross fish cake," she said as she found herself almost right on Naruto, who had his fist cocked back to strike the helpless girl. Well, he thought she was helpless. She never got that memo. "Ah. Damn it, I can't see," Naruto shouted as a large glob of mud hit him in the eyes. He jumped away to clear his eyes and upon doing so saw Mashiro right in front of him. "Mashiro, drop kick," she shouted before driving her feet right into Naruto's body, sending him flying through the air. He didn't know how high the ceiling was and he didn't want to, thus he stopped himself in midair and simply hung there. "Hey. That's right, I forgot you can do that too. That's good," she yelled to him before taking off after him in the air to continue combat. He had learned a very important lesson here in this grueling little torture session that he was going to use for sure once he found Urahara for revenge. His ninjutsu still worked on Shinigami. At first he didn't know what the deal was with those hollows he fought, but against a Shinigami, if he could see them and he was aware of them spiritually, he could hit them with an attack, just as clear as if he were punching them. Good to know. It made the getting kicked around thing far more tolerable, and the look on their faces when he started throwing his ninjutsu around. Priceless. They called it Kidu, especially with the incantation, but he was quick to correct them that the two were similar, but not the same, nor did he need to call out the name of the attacks that he knew better than others. From that point forward all bets had been off, and any inkling any of them had on holding back died right there as they went hit for hit. Kidu versus ninjutsu. He had bitched about his jutsu not really having effect on a hollow he had tried to electrocute when he first arrived in town, and they said they had no clue as to why it didn't work, because it sure hurt them badly enough. After the third time of getting his bell rung by Kensei, the realization hit him: elemental advantages still exist, just in a more magnified manner because all hollows were spirits. He had simply gotten bad luck on both sides of the draw, so to speak. Against the first one he tried a ninjutsu on. They were comprised of reisure, spirit particles, in its rawest most unrefined form that could still take corporeal shape, like a biju, but not nearly as strong or able to interact with the environment at large, not made of the earthly things that people and other things were made of that had to share the same genetic makeup. Hollows didn't have that rule to follow, so hollows and their elemental affinities were more in tune than an untrained humans would be naturally, hence why some could fly faster than others, wind, why some were tougher than others, earth, why some had violently effective natural defenses or could pierce through almost anything, lightning, why some were extremely elusive and hard to get a hold of, water, and why some had body types that corresponded for attacks of incredible power. No matter how weak or unspectacular the hollow itself really was, fire. It wasn't the fact that part of chakra was physical that was the problem. The problem was that if the attack he used was the hollow's element, the physical portion would be cancelled out entirely, leaving him with a jutsu that only had half of a kick to it, not enough to do damage to a hollow that shared the element. How did he think of all of this? Which of his new acquaintances helped him? None of them, unless you counted the dogged fighting that got the blood pumping in his brain to allow him to think as help. However, time between fights added up, especially when you found yourself unable to move, so in their own rather sadistic way they did help. "I'm going to knock you out, fish cake," Mashiro said happily as she blocked one of Naruto's kicks with her own. "You all say that," Naruto said with a roll of the eyes. The two continued clashing all over the field hand to hand as the others sat on the side and watched. "Man." A tall man with a weird star-shaped afro, a green jogging suit, and sunglasses said as he alternated between reading a manga and watching Naruto fight Mashiro. "Other than blacking out every few hours, he's been going non-stop. You've got to admit it's pretty impressive. And he took the whole revelation of a Visored thing pretty well too. A blond man with a seeming permanent grin on his face and a newsboy cap smirked as he watched the fight going on. I think part of that had to do with Hiyori's foot being stuck in his windpipe during the explanation process, but I get your point, love. Sigh, I'm kind of sick of fighting him though. He's like a nuclear generator, he never fucking runs out of energy. Give him a little downtime and he's right back up in your face. That's dangerous. Shut up, Shinji, I'm not through fighting him. The blonde girl Naruto had originally picked with on his arrival said, chomping at the bit to get back in there, I haven't extracted my pound of flesh from his dumbass yet. Mashiro kick. The sound of a solid blow rang out, prompting everyone to look up. Heads up. Shinji yelled, grabbing Hiyori and holding her out in front of himself like a human shield as Naruto hurtled through the air at him. Incoming. Hachi, barrier now. A quick barrier flew up around them as Naruto's body smacked off the side of it and stuck to it back first like a bug on glass. That was close. He commented before getting decked in the face by an angry blonde girl that proceeded to stomp on his face repeatedly. Ow! Naruto said to himself before he shook off the cobwebs and glared back out at Mashiro. For the last time, that's not an actual attack. You just shouted your own name and kicked the shit out of me. It actually has to do something special to count. It hit you, didn't it, swirly eyes? That should be special enough. She yelled back. Naruto mumbled out a reply about how he wasn't even using Rinnegan this time under his breath and looked back at the other Visoreds. And you guys are lazy. You made Hachi throw up that barrier just because you didn't want to move your asses. Gah, I'm so pissed I'm going to dash. He was cut off from his rant by blood jutting from his nose and his body falling off of the barrier to the ground. Yes. I'm the one that finished you this time, fish cake. Mashiro shouted proudly as she made her way back over to the others and Naruto. Didn't count. Naruto said weakly, I just ran out of chakra. Just give me a few. He shut his eyes and blacked out. A long-haired blonde man in a black suit and a frilled white shirt looked Naruto over. I don't think he's getting up this time. He whistled lowly. What a marathon though. A woman in red glasses, a ponytail and a school uniform nodded. I'll say love. 3 days with no real breaks in between, you've got to love that stamina. She stood up. Okay, Hachi can heal him and we can let him rest up. I'll check the bag he brought and see if he brought any clothes. Shinji smirked. You just want to use that as an excuse to go through his stuff and potentially see the guy naked when you change him, don't you, Lisa? Lisa didn't reply as she went off to grab Naruto's stuff. Meanwhile, the large man Hachi moved over Naruto and erected a barrier around him. I'm terribly sorry about that. The others haven't had any sort of activity like this in a long time and you were a good target to vent some long-standing aggression. Stop apologizing, Hachi. Hiyori said as she marched over to Naruto, who was beginning to gain consciousness. This dumbass came and called us out. He's just lucky he told us no mask beforehand and asked nicely. Love looked at Naruto and then to everyone else. How did he even know about that? Hachi deactivated the barrier when Naruto stuck up his arm holding a piece of paper. Shakily Hachi took it and read it before handing it to Shinji, who quickly understood. Oh, Urahara. Well, that explains it. He walked over to Naruto and kneeled down over the barrier that Hachi had made to heal his wounds. Okay, we told you that we're Visoreds, but do you know what that actually is? Naruto shook his head. No. Are you from the Godai 13? Naruto shook his head weakly. I barely know what that is. What's a Visored? Shinji gave Naruto a serious look. A Visored is a Shinigami that has developed hollow powers. A pharaoh-looking mask formed over his face that increased the pressure of the room to Naruto. Like this, see? Naruto's eyes widened as his body began to feel the effects of Hachi's healing. Whoa. How do you get powers like that? Shinji laughed humorlessly. Not by choice, I should say. I'm going to skip the boring part since I don't really trust you, but long story short, we were forcefully given these powers. We never asked for them. Naruto shut his eyes and nodded thoughtfully. I can understand that. What you're talking about isn't that much different from me, honestly. Hiyori placed her foot on Hachi's barrier and sneered down at Naruto. And what exactly would some dopey-looking guy like you know about something like this? Can you let the barrier go now? Naruto asked Hachi politely. Thanks a lot, your healing barrier worked really fast. You're good. Hachi complied and bowed to Naruto. My time-space regression doesn't work that fast. What amazing healing capabilities. Hiyori growled at Naruto. Hey, I was talking to you. Don't ignore me, damn it. Naruto turned towards her. Well, now that I know what the masks are, shall we continue? Just you and me. He then smirked, and you can use the mask. Hiyori looked at him in surprise, as did everyone else. She finally grinned at him evilly. You know you just signed your own death warrant, right? Hachi, put up a barrier so that no one feels this. Yeah, Naruto said, jumping back towards his feet. He used Shunshin to reappear in middle of the battlefield. Just get back out here so we can do this. This is what you wanted the entire time, right? Hiyori quickly did as asked and made her way to directly in front of Naruto, drawing her Zanpakuto and pointing at him. Is this what you really want? You're going to be sorry. Just do it and let me be the judge of that. Naruto said before feeling a rather oppressive aura set over the area. Man, that has some kick to it. He remarked as a skeletal mask with diamond markings across the brow and a horn on the forehead formed over Hiyori's face. She pulled the mask up to smirk at him. So how do you like this? Naruto chuckled nervously. That's really strong. This is great, he said before he began laughing slowly. As time carried on, his laughter increased more and more, confusing everyone in the room. This is absolutely great. I don't think I'm going to stomp a mudhole in Urahara anymore when I see him again. He introduced me to you guys. I think we're going to get along just fine. Hiyori looked at him with her black scara and brown iris eyes in confusion. Why would you thank him? I'm about to kick your ass. I want to thank him because he introduced me to all of you. A bunch of people. Naruto's eyes turned orange in color as a series of strange markings formed and expanded from his stomach across his torso, starting at a spiral on his navel. A yellow shroud completely engulfed Naruto's body, releasing energy in flickers of flame. Who are just like me? Hiyori looked at him in pure shock. The power flowing off of him was just as strong as their own. It felt almost the same except for a little something else that she couldn't place her finger on. Are you a Visored too? You said you weren't a Shinigami. I never lied to you. This thing inside of me isn't a hollow. It's not just spiritual, it's also something physical. Everyone can see and sense this, not just those that are spiritually aware, everyone. I'm not a Shinigami. Naruto answered honestly with a serene smile on his face that still confused everyone. I hold something inside of me known as a Biju, a living corporeal mass of chakra which is the combination of spiritual and physical energy. I haven't had to do this in a very long time. I didn't think I would ever find anyone else like me ever again. Hiyori let her mask fade. She no longer desired a fight with Naruto, instead having too many questions to warrant a battle right now. What do you mean, like you? How are any of us like you? Naruto let his own enhanced power fade. Because I didn't ask for this power to be put into me either, but I fought for control of it just like you all had to for the sake of myself and the people around me, because I know a hollow would never just freely give you control and cooperate peacefully, same with me and mine. What are you? Shinji asked from the sidelines. Naruto looked over at the other Visoreds and grinned at them. I'm just your average everyday immortal / Jinchuriki / sage / shinobi. Nothing too out of the ordinary. I travel around, doing this and that here and there, and I dashed. Uzumaki-sama. Lisa came from out of nowhere and grabbed a hold of Naruto in a tight hug, catching him off guard and surprising the hell out of the others who had never seen her act this way. I'm your biggest fan. I've read every story you've ever written. All 45 volumes of the Ike series. Naruto grinned as he felt Lisa press his face into her bosom. I write books, Databeo. He tried looking up at Lisa but found it rather hard to do as she was smothering him. Well, this is a refreshing change of pace. I mean, before this you were trying to kill me with your sword, now you're trying to kill me in a far more pleasant way. Lisa let go of him. I just saw your manuscript for the next series, but I couldn't read it. It's in some language I can't understand. Naruto chuckled. I do that because it's the language I used as a child. It kind of fell out of practice as the years wore on, so no one is around that can really translate it. He actually started paying attention and saw that Love, Shinji, and Rose had surrounded him with starstruck looks on their faces. Yes? Shinji pointed at him. You're Uzumaki Naruto? The Uzumaki Naruto? Your books never had your picture. No one did. Naruto looked at Shinji proudly. I published the books myself. My sensei wrote the first volume that had the first 3 books. I just kept re-releasing them over and over again throughout history before I started writing my own follow-up volumes like 150 years ago. People kept on thinking that it was just a passed-down pen name for anonymity, but no, I'm immortal. He laughed maniacally before calming himself. Can we have your autograph? Love and Rose yelled at him, brandishing books for him to sign. Naruto nodded and immediately made a Kage Bunshin that signed in his place. Lisa sidled up to his side, looking away from him in an indifferent manner that was spoiled by the blush on her cheeks. So how exactly do you get the inspiration for these books? Naruto's answer was plain and simple, because you guys are awesome. I really don't want to have to find another hotel to stay at, I'd actually like to hang out for a while. I'm sick of being lonely, you know? He suspected that they did indeed know. Just because they seemed to rather keep to themselves more often than not didn't mean that they didn't feel the same way. I can pay you guys, I'm rich after all, and I can hang out with each and every one of you dashed. Naruto formed 7 Kagebunshin at the same time. The Visoreds all looked at him appraisingly as if trying to gauge his sincerity, but couldn't see any deceit behind the big goofy grin he was giving them. After a while of them staring at him his grin dropped and he dispelled his clones. Fine you cheap bastards, I'll buy all of the food and goodies that everyone wants for the entire stay. Shinji appeared behind Naruto and patted him on his shoulder good-naturedly. Welcome to the family, Naruto. Yeah, whatever. Naruto grumbled, but with no anger in his voice as he still had a smile on his face. So what do you guys do for fun around here? Read. Lisa said, backed up by Love and Rose who were holding up issues of manga magazines and books. Train. Kensei said firmly, crossing his arms as if to dare Naruto to say something negative. Oh, I don't know. Hachi said somewhat sheepishly. Mess with Kensei. Mashiro said loudly, getting a growl of annoyance from the man in question. Pick on Snaggletooth/dumbass. Both Shinji and Hiyori said respectively before Hiyori realized what he called her and jumped at him, leading to another fight between them. Naruto let out a sweat drop as he watched the others go about their usual business, which to him looked like a whole lot of nothing. Okay, this is pretty bad. I'm going to find all of you something useful to do with your time as far as hobbies go. Is all that you guys do train and, well, this? Yes. Upon hearing the unanimous response his sweat drop grew more pronounced. Come on. I've been alive for thousands of years and I came up with tons of stuff to occupy my time besides that. Pranking world leaders and monarchs, making fortunes and blowing them on useless stuff, you guys have got to have something. Mashiro raised her hand as if she were in class. Does getting drunk count? Naruto let out a sigh and ran his palm down his face before giving off a defeated look. Yes. Getting drunk counts. Let's get drunk. Let's get drunk and we can talk about all of the awesome things we've done, then we can go back into the training room and fight some more. That should kill some time. A unanimous chant of agreement soon followed. XXX. Urahara Shop, Day of Departure. Inside of Urahara's shop sat a training facility much like the one that the Visoreds possessed in their own warehouse. In addition to Yuryu and Ichigo, the others down there happened to be a rather silent, large, dark-skinned teen with curly brown hair covering one eye, a sleeveless gray shirt with a red stripe, and olive pants. There was also a rather bright teen girl with orange hair, bangs tucked back with a pair of hairpins. She also wore a pink short-sleeved shirt and gray pants. Getting everyone's attention, Urahara pointed over to himself. Okay, everyone pay attention please. It's about time to go. A series of stones formed behind him into a square door. This is the gate to the Soul Society. Now please listen up, I will now teach you the way to go through this door without dying. But first dashta. He slammed the bottom of his cane into Ichigo's body, separating his soul from his body. That's better. The others were all picking with his body, marveling at how he was separated. Why are you guys messing with my body? Focus. He yelled in annoyance. Who said they could just poke at him freely like that? Khan appeared in teddy bear/lion form over Ichigo's shoulder, right? Because that body is going to be mine for the time being. You guys shouldn't touch it, everyone except Orihime-san. She can touch it. He said, pointing at the girl. Khan, why are you here? Ichigo asked the plush toy as the others started to freak out at the sight of a talking toy. Why? Khan said indignantly, I'm going with you of course. Do you really think you're leaving me behind? I will brave the difficulties of the Soul Society and dashta. He was cut off by Chad, the large one, grabbing him and looking at him intently, forcing him to scream out in fear. Hey! Urahara shouted and waved, trying to get everyone's attention. You can look back over here now. I'm trying to explain how the door works here. He settled down and got back into explanation mode. As you know, the Soul Society is the world of the souls, so in order to be there you actually have to be a soul. However, the only one that really has the freedom to move around is Ichigo due to him being a Shinigami. Even if the rest of you have your souls separated from your bodies, you would still be bound by your chain of fate. That is why a Ryushihenkanki, spirit exchanger, that will change the makeup of physical things in the living world into Reisher, the main component of souls. Yuryu understood what was being said, so all we have to do is go through this door and everything on that front will handle itself. Correct. Urahara replied, you can all go to the Soul Society as you currently are. Ichigo started marching towards the door. Right then, let's go. Urahara cut him off by slamming his cane into his side. Not done yet. He chirped cheerfully as Ichigo held his side in pain. The process won't bring pain and you'll be able to go to the Soul Society. The real problem is time. The amount of time you will all be given to get through to the Soul Society is 4 minutes. Once time is up, the door will close and you guys will forever be locked in the space between the living world and the Soul Society, the Dongai. He continued, if you are caught by something called the Kuryu, even a single foot, the chance of leaving in time becomes impossible. Orihime looked rather disheartened by the rundown of their odds of even just making it there. So what should we do? Keep moving forward. The others looked at Yoruichi entering the room with a serious look, as serious a look as a cat can have. I thought I told you, your heart and soul are connected. What is important is how your heart thinks. Only those that can do so will be allowed to follow me. What are you talking about? Ichigo said belligerently. Everyone here today made the decision to go and are determined to go through with it. You should know, kid. Yoruichi said offhandedly, if you lose in there you won't be coming back. I guess we won't be losing then. Ichigo replied determinedly. Well said. Yoruichi said proudly before a tick mark formed on the head of the cat indicating annoyance. Sorry I'm late everyone, I had to go retrieve someone who decided to sleep in. Sorry I'm late everyone? I woke up with a black cat standing over me and decided that was bad luck, so I took a walk around Karakura town to let my luck settle. A rather haggard-sounding voice said as footsteps signified the person descending down to their level, and don't blame me for that, Yoruichi. On the last day we just drank all day long and fought. Ichigo and Yuryu could have sworn that they had heard the voice before. Yoruichi scoffed and continued to walk over to the others, leading the person to enter the room alone. So then why did I find you naked this morning? The others face-faulted at that little kernel of information they didn't need to hear. Finally making an appearance was Naruto, dressed in a dark green combat vest, a set of rather loose black pants, and a pair of distinct sandals that fit firmly and secured his foot and around his ankle for good support. To top the outfit off, he wore an orange bandana around his neck with the rusted metal leaf insignia sewn into it, and a red overcoat with black flames lining the bottom. Naruto's eyes were rather bloodshot and red. Why did I find you naked this morning? He fired back at the cat in a seemingly nonsensical fashion. I didn't do anything to anyone there last night, did I? Yoruichi grinned at him, trying to repress some shameful memories? Naruto waved that sentiment off. Nope, none whatsoever. I would just like to remember what I did. It might make a cool scene to write about. I'm expecting tons of stuff to write about on this little mission of ours. Ichigo pointed at Naruto. You're that Naruto guy we met a while back. What are you doing here? Wasn't he in our class for one day? Chad remarked as he had been there the day Naruto had been thrown in. Don't remind me. Naruto said bitterly, I'll be damned if I'm ever going back to school. I'm an award-winning author that has sold countless books. Who needs school at that point? Don't change the subject. Ichigo snapped impatiently. What are you doing here? Do you even know Rukia or something? Naruto shook his head. Honestly no. And I have no reason to be doing this personally other than the fact that Yoruichi asked me to, and the fact that just because Rukia isn't a part of my plane of existence doesn't mean that I should just let her be killed for such a stupid reason. Urahara walked over and placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder. Naruto-san. I hope that your training was to your liking. Naruto gave him an evil grin that sent a shiver down his spine. Yes, it was, Urahara. I'd be happy to show you just how fruitful it was after I get back. We should sit down and have a little chat. But it can wait until I get back. Ish? Urahara backed away from Naruto and slapped the gate with his fan. Okay. Let's get going. The moment the gate is open, you guys rush in. A few taps of his cane and a portal between worlds was opened between the stones comprising the gate. Naruto walked towards it, rolling his shoulders out to loosen up. All right. You both owe me money or something of equal value. Remember that. Naruto said, pointing at Urahara and Yoruichi while stepping up first. I don't like playing guinea pig, but no guts, no glory. See you guys on the other side. He said, jumping in abruptly before anyone else. Shall we? Yoruichi asked, getting a nod out of Ichigo and the others before they all jumped through as well. XXX. Soul Society, West Rukongai 1st District. The trip through the tunnel had been extremely dangerous. Almost getting caught by the thing that Urahara warned them about, as well as something else known as the cleaner of the tunnel, had nearly finished them off before real danger could begin. Were it not for Oriheim's timely intervention with her powers, they would have been finished. Is everyone all right? Oriheim asked brightly as she looked at all of the others laying in a heap. Yuryu sat up and held his head. I really didn't think we'd be that pathetic right off the bat. Totally unexpected. He felt the back of his costume. I didn't think I'd have to use my backup cape so soon. Everyone looked at Yuryu strangely for carrying extra capes specifically for his outfit with him. Great. Oriheim said cheerfully, it looks like no one was hurt. What's so good about that? Yoruchi yelled as the cat headbutted Oriheim in the eye, getting her to start crying. Were you even listening to me in there? It's a good thing that only the shield was touched by the Kotatsu. If it was the main body of your Shunshin Rika, you would have been dead by now. Yoruchi said, poking her on her hairpins. Why are you so pissed off? Ichigo said, we're all okay because of Inoue. You don't seem to understand the situation. Yoruchi said, looking around, and to top it off, we lost Naruto. What on earth happened to him? The smoke around them cleared to reveal a rather residential-looking place. A town if they were guessing right. Ichigo got a good look at their surroundings and commented on it. This is the Soul Society? Yes. Yoruchi began explaining for his benefit, we are currently on the outskirts. The Rukongai, Wandering Soul City, the place where souls live when they first come to Soul Society. It is located around the Siriidii, Court of Pure Souls, which is our intended destination. This is the poorest area of the Soul Society, but also the most free and holds the most souls. Ichigo looked over where there was a clear discrepancy in how things were set up as far as the layout of the area. Hey, that must be the Wacham Kalit where all of the Shinigami live, right? I'm going in. He said as he rushed over by himself. No, you idiot. You can't go in that way. Yoruchi shouted, trying to stop him, but it was too late. Ichigo turned around to look at Yoruchi and was nearly crushed by a massive defensive wall that cut him off from proceeding further. What the hell? He said in confusion as he could see no way around whatsoever because of the smoke shrouding his view. It's been so long since someone tried going through the western gate without a pass. A booming voice said from in front of Ichigo. The smoke cleared, revealing a man that towered over Ichigo. He wore a small hat on his head, and the left side of his chest was exposed by his uniform. However, he had armor on his left shoulder and upper arm. I finally have something to do. He picked up a massive axe and slammed it down in front of Ichigo. Go ahead and attack from any angle you'd like, kid. Yuryu looked at the man in awe. Who is this guy? He's so large he couldn't possibly be human. His name is Jidenbu. Yoruchi enlightened the others. He's an elite in the Soul Society. The guard of the western gate of the Siriidii. Yuryu narrowed his eyes. That means we're going to have to work together to defeat this monster and get past the gate. Yoruchi nodded. Exactly, but it isn't going to be a simple task. It would be easy if Naruto was here. I can't risk transforming yet for no reason. Leaving that as just a thought, Yoruchi kept speaking. He's been a guardian for 300 years and until now no one has ever passed him to make it inside. One swing of his axe will obliterate you. He's the legendary Hercules of this world. Yoruchi then shouted over to Ichigo, Ichigo, retreat and we'll come up with a plan. That course of action was cut short when Chad and Oriheim ran ahead to assist Ichigo. Didn't you two hear me? We're coming to help you, Kurosaki-kun. Oriheim thought as she ran to assist Ichigo. Seeing them coming, Jidenbu slammed his axe on the ground and fractured it, forming a wall to keep them from assisting Ichigo. Your behavior sickens me. He said to the others, this city has rules, you uncivilized people. First, you must wash your hands when you come back home. Second, you must never eat food that has fallen on the ground. Third, a duel is one-on-one, no one else is to get involved. Therefore my opponent is the spiky-haired kid. Just stay out there until I am done. He stated firmly. Chad pointed at the wall and spoke quietly, Oriheim, I'll make a hole in the wall. Take that chance and attack him. Trying to come up with a sneak attack? Jidenbu questioned testily, surprising them with his good hearing. Oi! Chad, Inoue. Ichigo's voice sounded out over the wall. Kurosaki-kun, are you hurt? Oriheim questioned worriedly, hold on a second, we're almost there. I'm fine. Ichigo yelled back, but I wanted to talk to you guys about that. You and Chad just stay there, alright? Don't do anything. Before Oriheim could say anything, Yuryu ran up to the wall. What are you talking about? You've seen how strong this guy is. I don't care what you've learned over the past few days, you can't handle this by yourself. Oh, there you are, Ishida. Ichigo yelled back as if he had been wondering where everyone else was. I've been here since the beginning, stupid. Yuryu shouted, losing his patience. Ichigo replied in a low-key manner, you're really noisy. Chad spoke to Ichigo calmly through the wall, can you win? Ichigo rubbed his neck and looked at Jidenbu from his side of the wall, possibly. Yuryu's yelling from the other side forced a tick mark of annoyance onto Ichigo's head. What the hell is your malfunction, Kurosaki? Do you realize the situation you're in right now? So damn noisy. Ichigo remarked under his breath, I said don't worry. Do you even know what I've been doing for 10 days? The original plan was for me to take all of that time to recover, but it only took 5 instead. So during the 5 days I had left, what do you think I did? He waited for an answer but only got silence, fighting of course. In those 5 days and nights I fought with Getabushi. Yuryu figured that he understood now, so he taught you battle skills dash? Nope. Ichigo said, butting in and keeping him from finishing his incorrect thought, he didn't teach me a single thing. But now I've got tons of raw battle experience and power. He took the wrapped sword off of his back to reveal a large oversized cleaver that had no hilt or guard. It was just as tall as Ichigo himself with a black blade and silver edge. He looked at Jidenbu and smirked, I'm ready. I don't remember asking you to wait for me though. Are you finished? Jidenbu said disdainfully, it seems that you are just as uncivilized as those others. Such a disrespectful boy. He lifted his axe into the air, I wasted all of that time waiting on you. You should be grateful. He shouted as he slammed his axe down, cracking the ground with the force it hit with, but he didn't feel the normal amount of give that he otherwise thought he would have. Wait, how did you dash? Are you finished? Jidenbu said disdainfully, it seems that you are just as uncivilized as those others. Such a disrespectful boy. He lifted his axe into the air, I wasted all of that time waiting on you. You should be grateful. He shouted as he slammed his axe down, cracking the ground with the force it hit with, but he didn't feel the normal amount of give that he otherwise thought he would have. Wait, how did you dash? Ichigo was holding back his axe with his sword in one hand, I wasn't ready yet. That wasn't exactly courteous, you know. He quipped at his enemy. Jidenbu began to let out booming laughter, amused at Ichigo, you aren't too bad at all. It's been quite a while since anyone could block my axe. Now I can finally use all of my strength. He lifted his axe again, good luck kiddo. Until now there have been only 3 people who could block my axe including you, but the ones who can block my second are absolutely 0. He slammed it down on Ichigo who blocked again, good. But I'm not finished yet, Dai. Jutsupon Jidan da Matsurida, Jidan des, Hichi Festival. Jidenbu began swinging away at Ichigo, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, 8, air, 5, 6. He lifted his axe one more time high over his head, it's almost done, 10. He swung his axe to the side and cleaved the top off of the wall he had put up to keep others out. When the dust from the flurry of attacks died down however, Ichigo stood unharmed with his sword over his shoulder touching the ground and blocking his side. How are you still standing? Jidenbu asked in shock. Are you done yet? Ichigo said coldly, setting a piercing gaze on Jidenbu, because it's my turn now. He said, preparing an attack. No. I'm not finished yet. Jidenbu said, lifting his axe again and pulling out a second one, my final attack. Banzai Jiden Damatsuri, 10,000-year hit festival. Sorry but I'm going to have to destroy those axes. Ichigo said just as Jidenbu moved to slam his attacks down on him once more. Ichigo countered with a swing of his own sword and made good on his threat as he destroyed both axes with one swing, sending the large warrior falling onto his back as well. Jidenbu looked up at the sky before blinking and rolling himself back to his feet. That was dangerous. A minor distraction and I found myself on the ground. He noticed Ichigo's strange facial expression. Did you think you had won? I won't go down so easily to a guy like you. Now let's finish this with my dash. He held up an arm only to find a handle in his hand. Axe? My axe. Where is my axe? He began crying pitifully and throwing a temper tantrum at having his axes broken. Ichigo actually felt guilty about what he had done. This is kind of strange to say, but sorry about that. I guess I could have only broken one and left you with the other, my bad. Jidenbu stopped sobbing and looked at Ichigo. You're such a good guy. He started blubbering again. I'm an enemy, I lost the battle, but you still care about me. So generous. He placed a hand on Ichigo's shoulder, making the teen Shinigami incredibly uncomfortable, and here I am crying like a baby because of a broken axe. He suddenly threw his arms in the air. In over 300 years I have never been so thoroughly defeated. You have my permission to enter the western gate of the Siriidii. What is your name, young warrior? Ichigo pointed at himself, Kurosaki Ichigo. Strawberry, what a lovely name. Jidenbu commented as he turned towards the gate. Ichigo had to be held back by Chad from attacking the already defeated gate guardian. I don't know why you want to go through this gate, Ichigo, but take care of yourself, everyone inside is powerful. Ichigo stopped struggling and nodded, I know. Jidenbu grabbed the bottom of the gate and began to lift. Well, if you're sure you're prepared, then I will open the gate for you. With a great show of strength, Jidenbu hoisted the massive gate high up over his head for Ichigo and the others to pass through, shocking everyone who had witnessed the feat. However, once he got it up, he simply froze in fear at something he saw in front of him. Ichigo peeked around the giant and saw a man with silver hair, closed eyes, a grin on his face, and a Shinigami outfit as well as an extra Haori over the usual clothing. Who is this guy? He asked. Ikamaru Jin. Jidenbu said fearfully, captain of the 3rd Division. Jin spoke directly to Jidenbu in a light scolding manner, this isn't allowed. Before anyone could even do anything or before anyone knew what happened, with a swift motion the arm of Jidenbu was cut off. That's too bad, but you're a gatekeeper. Your duty is to guard the gate, not open it. He said, without any actual malice in his voice at all. The loss of his arm caused Jidenbu to scream in pain and lose his hold on the open gate, all the while blood from the open wound rained down. He still managed to hold the gate open, however, with one hand on the gate and his shoulders keeping it up. No wonder you're one of the Soul Society elites. Jin mentioned casually, even with a missing arm you can still hold the gate open. However, you are still a failure as a guardian. Ikamaru Taishu. Yuruchi thought as the scene unfolded, I didn't expect anyone like this to show themselves so soon. Even though they're all very strong, his strength is beyond their imagination. If they fight here, the worst may occur. I opened it because I lost. Jidenbu said wearily, the guardian opens the gate when he loses. It is only natural. Did you make that idiotic rule up yourself? Jin remarked amusedly, you obviously misunderstood. Even if a gate guardian loses, he still may not open the door. If a guardian loses, the aura around Jin grew murderous, he must be executed. In a flash, Ichigo attacked in order to keep Jidenbu from being injured any further, clashing swords with the captain before breaking away. Yuruchi's jaw was left slack by how brazen Ichigo was. The kid just moved at him on his own. What do you think you're doing, you bastard? Ichigo questioned Jin. Yuruchi shouted at Ichigo instead of letting Jin reply, what do you think you're doing? We beat Jidenbu fair and square and then you just pop up out of nowhere and attack us? Ichigo said to Jin, almost seething, Inoue, I want you to look after Jidenbu's arm. He asked of her, getting a nod from Oraheim, if you want to fight so bad then I'll be your opponent. If you attack unarmed allies so easily then I'll have to rip you apart in revenge. You're interesting. Jin said about Ichigo, aren't you afraid of me? Hell no. Ichigo said angrily in response, absolutely not. Stop messing around, Ichigo. Let's retreat for now. Yuruchi nearly pleaded. Getting into a fight with a captain-level Shinigami in the first few hours of being here wasn't exactly on the to-do list. Ichigo? Jin said in his head as he got a look at Ichigo's physical make, orange hair, sword as long as his height. So you're Kurosaki Ichigo? So he does exist after all. Ichigo looked at him in confusion. Do you know me? He said before he noticed Jin had turned and started walking away. Oi. Where are you going? Not turning to face him, Jin spoke, well, if that's the case then I definitely cannot let you pass. What the hell are you walking away for then? Ichigo questioned before deciding to make a crack on him to provoke him. What are you planning on doing, throwing that knife at me? Oh, he didn't know at all, poor bastard. Jin held his sword out to the side. It's not called a knife, this is my Zanpakuto. He quickly set himself in a sideward stance, tucking the blade under his left arm and pointing it at Ichigo. Ikaros, Shinso, shoot to kill, God Spear. Jin's sword rapidly extended at Ichigo with intent to impale him. Ichigo held up his own Zanpakuto in defense but ended up getting pushed back into Jidenbu, throwing them both outside of the gate. The gate began to close as his sword retracted. Jin peeked out under the bottom of it and waved at everyone. Bye-bye now. He said pleasantly right before it slammed shut. Kurosaki-kun. Oraheim shouted as she, Chad, and Yuryu ran towards the downed Shinigami who was motionless on the ground. Ichigo suddenly popped up. Damn it, that hurt. He yelled, surprising everyone that had moved to his side to check if he was hurt or not. Where is that bastard? He nearly killed me. Arf. He still seems lively. Yuryu thought as he saw Ichigo bitching to himself about Jin, he took that attack head on and he's still just fine. I'll say it again, scary guy. He looked at Ichigo's new sword, is that how he did it? I think he called it Zangetsu, his new Zanpakuto. Ichigo stood up and looked at Yoruichi who had walked up to him, sorry, because of me the door closed again. Forget it. Yoruichi dismissed his apology, there's no point in dwelling on it now. Although the door is shut again, the results would have been potentially worse had you passed through. That was Ikamaru Jin, just be glad you weren't injured. Ha, so my clone was right. You guys finally showed up. Took you long enough. They all looked up onto a nearby building to see Naruto crouched with a dry look on his features as he waved disenchantedly. Yo. Did you guys know that you are incredibly slow? I was hauling ass through that Dongai place. What happened to all of you? I thought you were all supposed to be right behind me. Naruto. Everyone exclaimed, having actually forgotten about him with everything that happened. Where have you been? Yoruichi scolded, I thought you had been killed when you went through. Naruto shook his head, a distinct lack of humor or good nature on his face. No, don't you give me that, something exploded when I made it through and I couldn't look back. Do you know how long I've been waiting for you guys to show up? I got sick of waiting and thought you had all died. He then pointed at the down Jidenbu and the closed gate. I tried that too when I first got here. I kicked another giant guy's ass on the east side of this place. I didn't land here. I can't open that gate either or even get inside, so I've just been messing around out here trying to think of something. How long have you been here? Yoruichi asked after jumping on the roof he was sitting on, perching on his shoulder and whispering to him, not wanting to alert anyone else. Naruto answered quietly, I've been here for quite a while waiting on all of you. Yoruichi remarked, time must have been displaced due to what happened with Oriheim's barrier and the Kotatsu. We might be able to take advantage of this later, just keep it to yourself for now, okay? Naruto nodded as they continued to watch Oriheim work on Jidenbu's arm, as the villagers came out to interact with them all. So what have you been doing by yourself? Staying out of trouble, I hope. Naruto grinned, of course. I know how to be discreet. I had to exist as an immortal on Earth and move when I needed to, so I'm an old hand at blending in. His eyes took on a more glassy tint, I just had to spend some time looking around for something. Yoruichi blinked, what were you looking for? Naruto's eyes panned over to Yoruichi's golden ones, I wanted to see the friends that first left me behind so long ago. Sigh, I couldn't find any of them. This place is so big, even with my Kage Bunshin I couldn't go everywhere. I couldn't even ask about them no matter where I looked. They had lives of their own, and while I'm very happy I can't bring myself to show it. But then I saw that this place had old people and memorials, and I realized that they must have passed on here as well. Yoruichi flinched for him and wrapped a tail around his neck. You really have been alive for a long time, haven't you? If that's the case, then they must have been far older than 2,500 years old in this realm. Naruto looked at his hands and clenched his fists. Aha, probably. I lost count of how long I've been alive. It's way longer than the modern calendar for sure. Way longer. I didn't know people died here too. What makes this place so different from the realm of the living except for the lifespan? I can't find much of a difference at all. Yoruichi didn't know how to respond. That's a very hard question to answer for one that has seen so much of the living world like you. Maybe you can find out? But if it makes you feel any better, they reincarnated. Naruto looked at her hopefully. Obviously they would have no ties to their past lives, but their souls would cycle back to Earth. She didn't get a response from Naruto, who stopped talking and simply looked at the others talk to the villagers below. Are you going to be all right? Yoruichi asked him. Naruto looked over at the cat, giving him a worried look, and gave a wide grin. Oh yeah, I'll be fine. I can't get all down in the dumps now, can I? I'm your ace, aren't I? What good would I be to everyone getting down about this here? He stood up and looked at the sky. So what if they're dead? All I've ever wanted was to keep my precious people safe and happy, and I did that. I'll never forget them for as long as I exist, and that's how I'll keep them alive. Every time I use a jutsu, and every time I wear my old village's symbol, that means that they're still alive, even if it's just in here. He said, pointing at his heart. Yoruichi smiled at him. Well, that's a very strong way to look at things. Naruto shook his head. Not particularly. I've gone this long without them. It hurts every now and then, but there's nothing I can do. I'm not a god, Yoruichi. All I can do is keep going. I'll never catch up to them now, so it doesn't matter anymore. So what's the plan, boss? How are we getting in? Because I'm drawing a blank. Even touching the walls of that gate suck my power away. I'll let them rest for now. Yuruchi said, curling up on his shoulder and shutting her eyes. I have a plan, but I need to ask around for some information on someone. Would you care to accompany me while the others get used to the Soul Society since you've been here long enough to get the gist of things? You can tell me about your friends while we look. Naruto chuckled and started walking along the rooftops. Well, if you want, so let's see, where should I start? Okay, I've got it. When I first became a ninja as a kid, I was placed on this team with 2 other kids and a sensei. Now this one girl, Haruno Sakura, was rather pretty and had pink hair and I had a crush on her. Never worked out for me. Go figure, but just so you know, you're way hotter than her when she was grown up. Yuruchi. Way hotter. But then there was this other kid, Uchiha Sasuke, laughs. What a douche.